Hello everyone, welcome to the first video in this series. My name is Akash Deep Singh and I am a PhD student at UCLA. When I joined UCLA, I had gotten admits from 4 top-tier universities in the world. These universities are University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, University of California, San Diego, UCSD, University of Washington, Seattle, and University of Florida, Gainesville. Through this series, I want to guide you all so that you can get into the college of your dreams. There are a lot of sources of information online. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and some of them are even outright misleading. If you follow these sources, you are going to go around in circles and waste a lot of your time. As a result, before I begin, I want to clear out some very common misconceptions that you might have about higher studies. The most common misconception that some students have is that it takes several years to prepare for higher studies. They prepare for GRE, TOEFL, applications, SOP, resume, etc. for almost like 2 or 3 years before they even apply to these universities. This is completely false. In India, we bring this competitive exam mindsets where we think that you need several years to prepare for any competitive exams. This is simply not true in this case. At most, I would say it takes like 4 to 6 months, including your GRE, your TOEFL, your SOP, your resume, brushing up your projects and all these things. And you can do really well in this amount of time. Obviously, for some students, this timing may vary, but for most students, 4 to 6 months is ideal time that you should devote towards your applications. In the coming videos, we are going to talk about how you can maximize your time and do this whole process really effectively. Next common misconception is about GPA. A lot of students are worried that they need a stellar 9.9 GPA to get into top universities. This is again not true. A lot of universities have their own subjective criteria and we cannot bring our cutoff mindset into it. So in India, we always think about things in terms of cutoffs. We think you need X number of marks to get into this college, you need this rank, you need that, you need something else. And this is not true. And this is something that I'm going to talk about throughout this whole video series, which is this whole process is really subjective. So these universities look at your profile holistically. They don't look at just your GPA or just your projects. They look at everything as a whole. So your GPA, your projects, your SOP, your resume, the letters of recommendation that you have, and whatever interviews you have, how well you perform in those things. And then they judge you on the basis of your complete profile. They do not just look at your GPA and make a decision. I have seen people who have a 7 point something GPA and they have been admitted to top 10 universities in the world. I have also seen people who have a 9 point something GPA and they get rejections from everywhere. So obviously your whole profile, like your profile as a whole matters here. And this is something that I'm going to talk about throughout this whole video series. So if you if you watch my coming videos, you'll get a better idea about how to create this complete balanced profile that can get you admitted to any university that you want to. Third common misconception everybody has that you need a stellar GRE score. People say that, oh, you need like 325, 330, 335 in GRE to get into top universities. This is again not true. At the very basic level, GRE is just a test of your basic math and basic English skills. And if you think realistically, these two subjects have absolutely no correlation with your performance in your graduate coursework. Your graduate coursework is is about much more complicated things than some just basic math and basic English. These are just filtering criteria, and a lot of universities treat GRE differently. Some universities give it slightly more weightage, some universities give it slightly less weightage, and even in some cases, some universities do not even give it any weightage, and you can just like ignore the GRE requirements, or they don't even require you to submit your GRE score. And this is something that we need to understand, that throughout this process, this is subjective. I know I'm talking a lot about this whole subjective term and I'm going to explain it in the coming videos, but this whole process is very subjective. Just having a bad GRE score or having a bad TOEFL score or having a bad GPA will not disqualify you from anything as long as your profile is good enough. Obviously, there is like a certain threshold that you have to achieve. Your TOEFL score cannot be less than X, and these thresholds are actually set up by university. So whatever university you want to go to, you can go to their websites and you can look for yourself the thresholds that they have set. And as long as you meet these minimum thresholds, your profile is going to be evaluated holistically. All the components of your profile are going to be evaluated, and just having a great GRE score but having no projects or having a really poor mediocre SOP will not get you through. So you have to kind of balance out everything. Finally, you don't need to join a coaching institute. I know there are several hundreds of coaching institutes in India, guides, agents who claim that if you join them, you can get into any university of your dreams. This is not true. This whole process is very straightforward. You can just go to any website, you can look at any resource, and you can simply identify what are the basic steps. So this has this like a X number of step process, and if you follow these steps carefully, you can do the whole thing on your own. You don't need to go to a coaching institute to study GRE, which is again basic math, basic English. You can do all these things yourself. There are like obviously some free resources available on the internet. If you join like my mailing list, I'm going to send you some of these free resources every week that you can practice, or you can read more about all these exams, all the criteria is required. So I don't think you have to like join a coaching institute, waste like several thousand rupees, waste like hours of your time just preparing for this whole process. This whole process is very simple. As long as you are focused, as long as you are committed, as long as you are able to identify what steps are required, you'll be successful. And obviously I'm here if you continue to watch out for all these this entire video series. I'm sure you'll have no problem going forward. Having said that, a lot of you might still be confused that do you really want to do an MS, or you want to do a PhD, or you want to do an MBA? And if you want to do any of these three things, where should you do this from? Should you do an MTech? Should you do a MTech from India? Should you do MS from US? Should you do a PhD? Or should you just go for MBA abroad, or MBA in one of the IMs? So in my next video, I'm going to talk about how you can identify what you want to do in life. And so stay tuned, and more to come soon. Thank you.